Hey, Stacey David here with the Tales of a Gearhead podcast. Now, this is a podcast about everything automotive, everything mechanical. You're going to get advice, you're going to get ideas, you're going to hear guests, you're going to hear people that are just like you. Everything is going to be wrapped around the automotive lifestyle, so we know you're going to love it. All right, let's get rolling. All right, welcome to the Tales of a Gearhead podcast. We have got a great show for you today. Got one of my good friends from the automotive industry, Mr. Rick Love from Vintage Air. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, if you haven't heard of Rick, you're like, is that some sort of an adult star? What is the deal with that? No, Rick is a great friend and just a great hot rod guy. So, Rick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, very much so. Been known each other a long time, and cool to see your new shop, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, how'd you get started into this thing? You've been at Vintage Air how long?
Full time since '98. I met Jack in the early '80s when this is our 50th year at Vintage Air, actually.
Wow.
70s. He started in '76. Jack Chisenhall started it, and I moved to Texas in 1982.
Yeah,
and I met Jack shortly after I moved there, and kind of went from there. Got to know him more through the years, and I actually had a little shop at my house. I was doing installations for a while, and we were doing some R&D projects together, and then I started doing some shows for him and power tours and things like that.
That's how it happens, man.
That's how it happens.
Yeah.
You know, then late 90s, I went to work for him full time and been there ever since.
Yeah, now you're still working at SEMA some. You're still involved with SEMA?
Still involved with SEMA, which I think is a great organization for our industry. Everybody should be more involved just because of the government aspect of it, the regulation aspect of it, and everything.
We'll talk about that some more. I want to get into that a little bit. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about, you're out all the time at all of these shows. You're very much involved in this industry. And there are some interesting things happening in the automotive industry, in the enthusiast world, and in the aftermarket. So let's talk about that. What kind of things are you seeing? I noticed that prices have dropped.
Yep.
And people are kind of like, well, where's this going? So where do you think, if a young person wants to get into a car, or what kind of automotive aftermarket is there going to be for kids in the next 10, 15 years?
I think the industry itself, the automotive industry, is as healthy as it's ever been. I really do. I think it's
I see nice
strong
innovations coming out. Yeah, people are doing stuff.
I mean, the aftermarket availability of parts now is so far superior to what it was even 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The quality of parts, the fact that you can get bolt-in things for everything. But my advice is always, when you're trying to get into this, what really gets you excited?
Yeah.
Because this is about what gets us excited, you know? For me, it was the early cars. It was, the pre-48s initially, but man, in high school, I had a 74 GTO. That was really my first hot rod.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I put a later model motor, an earlier model motor in it, 400, and we drag raced and we did all of that. And so that's what excites you.
Yeah.
You know, is it a Z car? Is it a pre-48? Is it a muscle car? Or is it something that the 80s
What if you
or
like
90s?
everything?
Right. But what really gets you going? It has changed, like we've talked, it's changed dramatically. I've got a 39 Ford that I've had for 40-something years now, you know, and I mean,
is that
for
a
while,
coupe or sedan?
It's a coupe, deluxe coupe. Yeah. For a while, it was my daily driver. I mean, it was the only car I owned for a while. And I'll drive it back and forth to work sometimes, and it's interesting. You stop and put gas in and things like that. Some people will say something, I've got an old 87 Monte Carlo Aero coupe that is my daily driver. That's what I drive every day. That car gets more activity at a gas station or something than my old 39 does, just because of what people relate to.
They relate to. The guys that remember the 39s, a lot of those guys are disappearing now.
Yep. They don't, the younger people don't have that nostalgic relatability to those cars that they do to like a Fox body Mustang or an OBS truck or that G-body car. And in fact, my wife hates to drive that car places because I want to go to the grocery store and get what I need. I don't want to have a conversation with somebody about the car, And
this is one of the main reasons I wanted you on here. Why do you think that is? Why do you think this younger generation doesn't care about the 30s and 40s cars as much? I know what you want to say. Go ahead.
It's the nostalgic aspect of it. You know, you and I, we grew up. you got an American Graffiti poster out there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, American Graffiti is the first thing that really got me excited about hot rods and everything.
Yeah.
Milner's 32 Ford Coupe, a lot of the younger ones today, it's the Fast and the Furious got them excited about things.
That first Fast and Furious movie came out in 2000.
Yeah.
So that's 26 years ago.
Yep.
That's substantial. And what they've done, like 10 movies now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you've got, again, your Z car is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
It's what
it's that younger generation.
Cars, or what is it that brings back that idea, that nostalgic passion.
And I think one of the things that we have done as the older generation or the first generation or the second generation, whichever one you're in, is that we have a tendency not to bring in the younger generation. And whether it's cost or what, and this is the thing for me, I've got a real problem with the shows that have to do with the auctions and the value, because once you start putting a value on something and don't touch it, kid, don't scratch my car, now we've gotten away from the fun and the enjoyment, and the kid grows up resenting the car.
Yep.
I call it the Ferris Bueller thing because that's what they dealt with in that movie.
Yep. The Ferrari.
The kid hates the car because Dad never spent any time with him.
Yep.
And if you don't, I had those crazy uncles and stuff that would put the dollar on the dash and try to get you to grab it. Well, you fell in love with those cars.
Yeah.
If you want younger people to get involved, you got to get them out and get them in the car.
Yep.
Give them that memory.
It's more than just the car or the truck or anything else.
Yeah.
It's all about the relationships.
Yeah.
That's this industry. I mean, there's no better people in the world than car guys in this industry.
Yeah.
And I mean, you go to the SEMA show or you go to Triple Crown here or the Good Guys events or things like that, NSRA events. It's the people.
Yeah.
I mean, the cars get you there. You enjoy looking at the cars and everything, but man, it's the friendships that you end up with through this industry, because that's the things you remember.
Absolutely.
You think back to events or things you drove to, it's the fun you had getting there. And I mean, that's what I always loved about the old NSRA slogan at first. It was, driving them to get there.
Yeah.
Fun with cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun with cars.
It's all part of that, the journey. A lot of people, that's why a lot of guys sell their car when they finish it, because it was all about the journey.
Yep.
And if you're not driving it and enjoying it, what's the point? I've never, you see these guys that have these cars and they spend a fortune on them. And it's in there. I've got a friend, he has a Mach 1 Mustang, and he keeps it hermetically sealed in one of those things. And he wouldn't think to drive it. It's just that, you might as well hang it on the wall. And it's kind of like the guys that collect guitars and never play them. It's like, well, that's a musical instrument. Its real purpose is to make music. If you're not doing it, it's not really a good piece of art. I don't know.
I know my wife has told me before on some of that stuff, because I'm a driver. Like I said, my old 39's got a couple 100,000 miles on it.
Wow, that's cool.
I mean, I've had it forever. But some guys, the build process, like you said, is what they enjoy the most. Figuring out how to make this work, making this part, making that part. Once the car is finished, they're done.
Yeah.
They want to move on to that next creative project.
Yeah.
It's like an artist, once he finishes that canvas and it's done, okay, he's ready to start the next one.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys, man, it's the driving it. It's the enjoying it with their friends. It's driving it cross country, going to this event or that event. So there's different ways of enjoying your cars for sure, or your vehicles for sure. And that's what I like about this hobby and this industry is it's a big old tent. There's room for all of that.
There's room for everybody.
Yep.
And the best thing that people can do is park your attitude at the door, park your bias and stuff. If you don't like Fords, well, learn to like them. If you don't like Chevys, learn to like them. If you don't like imports, maybe take a ride in one. They're cars.
They're cars.
It's all good. There's always going to be things you like, but there's other things that you'll like as well.
I challenge anyone to take a look at a car that someone has built, whether it's a show, whether it's here or there, take a look at it. You take a look at that car, you look close enough, you're going to find something that guy did when he built that car that you can either learn from or think, you know what, I never thought about running those brake lines down inside the vehicle like that to keep them hidden. A whole lot of that stuff, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is, it's the build process, and you can learn from that or appreciate that if nothing else. And a lot of the younger guys, you were saying earlier, they have a whole different way of looking at things, and there's some pretty good ideas there.
Yeah, there's some really good ideas. And actually, let's downshift this a little bit because you're a successful business owner and you know all about that kind of thing. And you talk about this a lot at some of the SEMA things that you do. Let's talk about a guy that wants to get in this as a business. So this isn't just a hobby anymore. He wants to either open a shop or he wants to work at a shop. He wants it to be a livelihood. How should he approach this? In other words, what should he look for? Because a lot of guys come in and they're like, I want to be a fabricator. Right. And it's like, there's not a big demand for that. So where is the big demand, do you think, in this industry now?
Man, I think the greatest opportunity right now, and we're seeing it more and more, is less in building turnkey cars and more so in doing improvements and maintenance on vehicles. You know, we got a whole lot of guys that are our age that they're either their ability or their desire to do some of these things has waned a little bit. But if they're going to keep driving their cars, they need to be safe and they need to be drivable. Yeah. And there's a huge market out there for, you want to upgrade the brakes maybe. You know, if you built this car years ago, the brakes that are available now are so superior to what we had access to years ago. Or you know, a modern fuel injection system, all of that stuff. And those jobs, man, you can get in and out of a shop pretty quick and make some money. Yeah. The big thing is, though, either take a short business class or, you know, at least talk to some guys that have been businessmen in the industry. Because you're going to find out if you're a younger guy, a lot of the guys that own shops are willing to share some information and help you. Yeah. And if you've got a shop in your backyard and your expenses are low, that's a whole different animal than when you go rent a shop somewhere and you have all of these bills now that you didn't have in your shop next door, you know, and you got to approach it as a business as well. Yeah.
That is probably the hardest thing to do. There are three vocations out there that kind of fall into this, and they're all passion driven. The music industry, I was involved in that for a long time. Yep. Is the same way, cars and food. You know, people they want to open a restaurant because they love food or they love coffee or this kind of thing. And it's like when you're passion driven on that, you tend to be kind of a stupid business person. Or they don't take the classes because they think, well, it'll just work out. Right. And trying to get people to go, okay, you need to, don't lose your passion, right? But let's park it aside right now and let's talk about the things you don't want to do. And I've had people look at that before, whether it's the music industry or whatever. They're like, but man, you're killing my dream. It's like, no, I'm saving you from a nightmare. Right. Right. I'm not killing your dream. You're thinking too much as in Disney World then when you're talking like that. Let's tell you the reality of this. Yep. And very much so. I mean, there's nothing really sexy about putting together a business plan before you start a shop or anything, you know, and it's as simple as listing what your daily expenses are, because they are daily expenses. They're not monthly expenses. It costs you X amount of dollars every day to turn that key, whether you have a car in there or whether you don't, whether you put out any work of that day or not. And that's not a sexy thing to do, but boy, it starts making this thing real when you've got those numbers on paper and you got to decide, okay, I got to be able to do this every day. So if today was not so good, tomorrow better be better to make up for that. And it's still, you know, the bills come no matter what. Yeah. And I think, too, nobody talks about operating capital. Right. They don't talk about having that because, you know, anytime you're running a repair shop or something like that, you get paid when you're done, when you do the work. So there's got to be something there to start with. Yep. And, you know, it's kind of like making whiskey or something. You sell it in 7 years. Right. That's when you make your money. So you better have something to hold you over until that happens. Right. And a good shop will have those mixtures. If you're going to have a turnkey build, well, you might need to have some other work that's going to keep a constant cash flow coming in. Absolutely. The big killer these days is insurance. What insurance has done the last few years has been incredible. The increases in insurance, whether it's workman's comp, whether it's garage keeper's insurance, whether it's any of that stuff, those insurance costs have gone up dramatically. And if you don't figure that into your plan, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice.
A successful automotive project takes planning and organization. But instead of using an old tablet or notebook, there's the GEARZ Deluxe Project Planning Book. This was designed to help you lay out a project, the parts, the tools, costs, and keep it organized with colored tabs, a pouch for receipts, and even a place to attach photos. If you decide to sell the vehicle, it serves as a complete history of what's been done. If you have a project or plan on starting one, the GEARZ Project Planning Book is the best way to lay it out and make it happen.
Hey everybody, Stacey David here with some exciting news. I just finished up a new children's book called Iggy and the Stick Man. Now, like I said, this is my second children's book, and a lot of people ask, man, why do you write children's books? And the answer is very simple. All of us, no matter how old we are still a kid at heart. And sometimes when you take a story and simplify it, it not only makes it easier to understand, a lot of times it's more powerful. And in the case of Iggy and the Stick Man, you got the story of a stick who thinks he knows what his goal is in life. And then he has a chance encounter with the mysterious Stick Man, and he finds out that his true value is buried somewhere deep within. I'm not going to tell you any more about the story. You're going to love it. There's some great surprises that you're not going to be expecting. So it's a great story to read to your kids, or it's a good gift to maybe give to that person that might be wondering what their goal is in life, what their purpose is. This might help shed some light on it. Get yourself one at staceydavid.com. Okay, so you got a successful business. Vintage Air pretty much invented, modern air conditioning in muscle cars, street rods and stuff. You guys were the first. How do you stay on top? Because you got competitors.
Oh yeah, we all have competitors.
How do you stay on top? How is Vintage Air still going, 40 years later?
50.
50 years later.
50th. Yeah, this is our 50th anniversary, 50th year, and we're extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, number one, in my eyes, it's passion for what you do.
Yeah.
And number two, it's the right people.
Yeah.
Because any business is only as good as the people you have there.
Yeah.
The people you have, we talk about that all the time. We have a weekly meeting with all of our employees, and we talk about that all the time, that the quality of what we do is paramount, because we don't sell anything that somebody needs. We sell something that somebody's got to want.
Yeah.
And every day we think, okay, how can we do what we're doing better?
Yeah.
What can we do to make what we're doing better? Is it newer technology? Is it better parts with components as they become available? And that's why we're constantly updating our things our systems, as new components become available, as new technology becomes available. You want to be moving in that direction to have I feel like we do the absolute best systems that we can.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. I have to say, one of the things that really impressed me with what you guys did, I dug into this Z-Car project last year, and that market is huge. That's that whole import market.
Yeah.
It's not just Z-Cars.
No.
There's Toyota Celicas and all this other stuff. And you are really the first of the traditional hot rod component builders that has jumped into that market with a bolt-in system for the early 240, 260, and 280. Which was a huge market. They had no air conditioning,
right.
Or it sucked.
Or it wasn't very good.
Yeah. So your system is good. You've designed it well, and you've brought all that technology that you've learned by making other products. And so how do we get other companies in there? Because in these later model vehicles from the 90s, putting an LS engine into a Mitsubishi 3000, that's coming.
Yes.
And
You're
so
seeing BMWs. A lot of BMWs do LS swaps
yeah.
now.
So they're going to need gauges. They're going to need wiring. They're going to need tilt steering columns. They're going to need those things that originally started back in the 30s cars and is right now in muscle car. So how do you see the industry stepping into that?
It's that whole chicken and egg thing. What came first,
Yeah.
right? And we're seeing that more, like we were talking about the Z cars and everything. Another example is the F-Series Ford pickups. The 67 to 72 Chevy pickups. They've been a really popular truck for a long time, and a lot of parts made for them and everything else. The F-Series Fords kind of lagged behind.
Yeah.
Well, here in the last few years, we've seen an explosion of those F-Series trucks, the 66 and up to even mid-80s and everything. And, well, what came first? Did it become the trucks became more popular, or is it because people like Dennis Carpenter and some of these other places started making parts available for these trucks?
Yeah.
And then that feeds you being able to build more of them. So it's hard to say, but, I think the companies within the industry, we talk, man, I have friends in the gauge industry, with Classic Instruments, Dakota Digital, and, Detroit Speed. Kyle was a great friend, and we talked for years about this, and we try to stay in touch. What do y'all see? What are you getting calls on? What are people calling? When you're at a show, what are people asking about? Yeah. And so we try to keep a finger on that. The Z-Cars, man, we had a lot of people asking about it, and some of the guys that built the cars said, I don't think you guys realize what a passionate group there is behind these cars.
My gosh.
So you start doing, look at it, and you're finding it out like we found it out, that these guys they're just like a 32 Ford guy, or they're like, a Roadrunner guy or a Camaro guy. If they're a Z-Car guy, man, they are a passionate Z-Car guy.
Yeah. And the thing for me, even building off of what you were saying there, it always goes back to cost. Mm-hmm. Because we all got into this, with not a lot of budget.
Right.
When we first started. So you might have wanted a 32 Ford or a 55 Chevy, but you settled for whatever grandma gave you.
Right.
And you just did the best you could with it, with your little, you put your valve cover crinkled paint on there and did whatever. Yeah. And it's the same thing. I see these guys, they're still going back and finding these Mini Coopers and BMW Z3s and Z-Cars and stuff because they're cheap.
Yeah.
Now, they may want a Corvette. They may want a Lamborghini, but you got to wait for that. And
like you said, you build a car, you sell it, you may move on to the next one and things. I mean, an example of that is we've got S10 pickups in our R&D shop right now doing a system development for the S10 pickups. And that's one of those, we're finding out there's not a lot of parts available for the S10 yet. Now Detroit Speed makes a suspension system, but a lot of the plastic parts for the dash and all of that are not that available. But I think there's more companies getting involved, and the Classic Instruments does gauges for them. Yeah. And we're starting to see more of that. So you hit on a big subject, they're still affordable. You can buy in it. For a while, the OBS trucks, the 88 to 97s, 98s were pretty affordable, but they're creeping up there. The square bodies have gotten, so they're really expensive now. Yeah. And that...
people naturally move to the next thing.
That price of admission is a big determining factor going in.
Yeah. Another area, and I think you're delving into this a little bit, is the Jeep market.
Yes. Yep.
Jeeps are everywhere. They carry their own, people love them. They have their own accessibility, and none of them had air conditioning. So
a lot of them did not. And the ones that did, it's like, some of the things that they don't know vintage air much, people think, okay, you make air conditioning systems for cars that didn't have it originally. Yeah. But more than half of the systems that we either build and sell, they're for cars that came, or trucks that came with factory air. Yeah. But again, it's 50-year-old technology. You can't get parts. The performance isn't near what we're able to do today. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Jeeps. Some of the Jeeps had a factory air package that was basically an underdash package. And now we're able to take make a bolt-in system that's a heat, cool, defrost, integrated climate control system with far superior performance to what they had originally. Yeah. And, it even works pretty decent without the top on. If you're going slow, it's nice to have some cool air blowing on you when you're out there.
Now, how far back do the systems go? You got CJs, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're back to the CJs.
Do you go back into Willys and all the flat fenders?
Not yet.
They're tiny.
Not yet, but it may be in the future. We go back to 65 with the Wagoneers, though. I mean, the early Wagoneers we're up to. We've got basically all Wagoneer coverage now.
I love those Wagoneers.
Yeah, we're delving more into those Jeeps. And again, like you said, passionate market. The guys that are Jeep guys are Jeep guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing for that is like air conditioning. Yeah. I don't need air conditioning. Yeah. It's like, well, just put it on. You won't regret it.
Yep. If you're, try to get your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend involved in something. If you're going to be traveling at all, having a car that you're comfortable in makes driving so much more fun. And these days, as much as the cool air, it's the aspect of the highways are so different now than they were 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. The traffic, the 18-wheelers, all of that. I mean, when you're out on the road driving, just being able to keep the windows up so that it's so much quieter inside and you're not having debris coming in, you're not having that roar of the trucks, all of that, and the wind blowing. That part of the climate control system is just as important as the cool air in my eyes. Just drive the next time in your late model vehicle, you're driving down the road on the highway, drop the window for a while and see how soon that kind of gets old with the trucks roaring as you're passing them.
And you hit a really good point there, because a lot of people don't think about upgrading an air conditioning system, especially as they get these 60s muscle cars. Oh, it's factory air. It's like, well, yeah, but it's bad.
Yeah.
You just like your brakes and your differentials and stuff. There's better products now.
Yep.
So getting them to put, to upgrade them is a big thing.
Well, just like you're doing with the Z, or like with the other vehicles you have here. I'll never forget, a few years ago, a friend of mine was looking for a 68 Camaro, his wife, or a Mustang. His wife had grown up in love with a fastback 68 Mustang.
Yeah.
And they finally found a really clean 68 Mustang at an auction, and they bought it and drove it home and took it home. She drove it around the block and said, "This thing's horrible. This is horrible." And I said, "No, it drives like a 68 Mustang."
Yeah.
That's what it was. And, drum brakes, no power steering, all of that. Well, a couple years later now, she loves the car, but they upgraded the suspension. They upgraded the brakes. They put vintage air in it. Now it drives and steers like the vehicle that she is used to driving, or he's used to driving.
Yeah.
And we forget how those cars really drove and how some of those accessories worked back in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. Badly. Yeah.
Badly.
No, I've got a similar thing I'm doing on this Power Wagon. And the magic of that one is power steering, power brakes, differential upgrades in the gearing to make it more drivable safely without losing the magic of the old Power Wagon.
Yep.
And that's always the challenge.
It is. It's a fine line.
It's a fine line.
You want to retain, in my eyes, always, you want to retain the character.
Yeah.
Because that's what turns you on about it. That's what gets you excited about it, is the character of the vehicle. So how can we make it more fun to drive, more comfortable to drive, and still keep that character that it is? Because that's what keeps you excited about it, and that's the challenge.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about SEMA a little bit. SEMA has gone through its share of growing pains and shrinking pains and things the last few years. Let's talk about that. How important do you think that is, and how would a person get involved with that, and why should they?
You can buy, just if you're not a shop, you can buy a personal membership in SEMA now.
Yeah.
And if you're a shop, obviously you can get involved. I think being involved with SEMA is important for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest one is the government regulatory issues that come up all the time.
That's huge.
And SEMA keeps you apprised of that.
Yeah.
What makes me worry at night about some of the old vehicles and everything, my nightmare is always that somebody's going to be driving an old car and there's going to be an accident and they're going to injure a senator's daughter or something like that. And all of a sudden, it's going to be big news everywhere that this guy in his hot rod did this, And, well, geez, it didn't have anti-lock brakes. It didn't have airbags. It didn't, and it didn't have this and that. These cars are too dangerous to drive on the road. They can't be out there on the road with my daughter out there driving.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I worry about, that I think is the biggest threat to our industry, is not that, we can make our old cars efficient, with fuel injection and all of that. You can make them so they run just as clean as a new vehicle. You can make them where, again, they're fun to drive, they're safe and all of that. But somebody that doesn't know, that's what I always worry about. They could regulate I don't think they can regulate them out of existence, but they can regulate them to where you can have it. You just can't drive it on the road.
Yeah.
And if you can't drive it on the road, it isn't like you said earlier, it's not a whole lot of fun to have. And I think that's where SEMA, they stay in touch with lawmakers, because a lot of these laws, they start down in a little bit of deal with somebody who doesn't know any better. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys, I don't think they're out there to destroy anything. They just don't know what they don't know. And having someone that's got their finger in the pulse of those laws that may be percolating in different places. California's fighting they call it the Jay Leno law. They're fighting that out there and everything now. And being involved with SEMA, they'll let you know when something like this is coming up. And it gives you an opportunity to write your congressman, write your senator a quick letter and say, hey, did you realize this legislation that's out there has this provision that could be really detrimental to what I love to do? And because a lot of these things happen and all of a sudden it's a law. Boy, once something's a law, having it changed is difficult.
It's almost impossible to get it changed. And I tell you what, you can't just take a passive approach to this. The people that didn't grow up in the square body truck era, they don't realize that the speedometer shut off at 85 miles an hour and the truck shut off at 95. That's because they were regulated to do that.
Yes.
And somebody had decided we didn't need anything faster.
Right.
And we've seen it. We've seen them do that. It's that quick.
Yep.
And so it's very important that gearheads get involved in it. If you just enjoy the industry, because the industry is on the shoulders of people that are making that happen.
Yeah.
And if you take a passive approach, it'll disappear. Somebody will take aggressive action.
The things that happen when you're not looking, and that's what it is. I mean, you look at the legislation that's been talked about now, it doesn't affect older vehicles as much initially, but when they are talking about having that shutoff switch in every car that's manufactured and truck that's manufactured, that gives the government the option to basically shut your car off to where it won't run.
Absolutely. That's why I drive carbureted cars.
Yeah, me too. But that's a scary proposition.
Yeah.
When someone would have the ability to stop your mobility, stop you from doing something just on a whim, they can say it's for a lot of reasons. But those kind of encroachments on our freedom, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox or anything, but those
all
are
connected,
scary
though.
things for us. I mean, we love our cars because of the freedom that it gives us.
No, that is really important for people to realize what that entails. It's not just about them doing what they want to do. There's a whole issue with the industry, and it can be regulated away really quick. We've seen it happen in certain things, and you see it in the gun world. You see it. There's always things like that people try to take your wrenches out of your hands.
Yep. With the best intentions.
With the best intentions.
We're just trying to keep you safe. And you've got a great point there with take our wrenches out of our hands. You know, how many of these new vehicles and going forward where they're trying to do everything they can to keep us from being able to modify these vehicles or being able to do any of these things on the vehicles. And, I mean, we've seen laws kind of come and go about, what can you do and what can't you do on your vehicle? I mean, those are scary things to me as a hobbyist, because this is still what I love to do as much as it being, my vocation.
Yeah, that was the real thing. And you saw this at SEMA. We fought this really hard at SEMA, the whole push for the electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's not that electric vehicles are bad, and it's not that they're not a viable option.
No.
But it was the push for them to take over. And the idea was all about money, because the big three wanted people to have to buy a new car every 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So that's a big thing for them. And, of course, the government gets taxes for that. When you look at that, and they're throwaway cars, so you have the used market that disappears. It's very simple what they were trying to do, and it makes sense. It's like if you sell ketchup, how do you get people to eat more ketchup?
Right.
Make more French fries.
I mean, you're exactly right. And man, electric cars, we've got a huge Tesla facility, manufacturing facility just
There's
north
a place
of where
for
I live. Yeah. And if somebody wants to drive an electric car, and it's a battery electric car. It's not an electric car.
Yeah,
to me.
exactly.
I mean, it's only as good as its battery. And if that's what you want to drive, man, more power to you.
Sure.
And gosh, the performance on them, I drove.
No pun intended.
Oh, gosh. Man, the performance on them can be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not something I want right now. But man, that's the essence of hot rodding. If that's what turns you on, man, I'm all for it. But just don't force me to do that. That's all.
What's new coming from Vintage Air? Anything that I haven't seen yet?
Yeah, I just kind of let the cat out of the bag. We're just going to be releasing the S10s here pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
The early S10 pickups and Blazers. We're growing with the 240, 260, 280Zs.
Yeah.
We're really excited about the Jeep stuff that we're releasing now. That's new stuff.
Those
that's
are great
just coming
markets.
out. Yeah, and we're really excited about that. I think there's talk about some people that have fun with their vehicles. The Jeep people have fun with their vehicles.
They do.
And so we're excited about that. And we've just released a new Mustang kit for the 71 to 73, and we now have complete Fox body coverage on our Mustangs as well.
Wow.
Sure fit kits. Both
That's a huge
systems
market.
And again, something that you and I grew up with. There was a new car then. And
I hated them when it came out because I wanted the older Mustangs. Now I'm like, those things are pretty cool.
Until those 5.0s were running low 13s right out of the box, right?
Yeah. Okay, so whatever happened to the green El Camino that was at Vintage Air? Was that Jack's?
Yeah, it was Jack's, his son's, and he's still got it. In fact, it was at our open house a few weeks ago, and I
want that Elkie.
We've still got Jack Studebaker in our showroom that he ran 241 with at Bonneville. That's still there and everything. So no, Jack gets attached to his vehicles as well. He's got them as well. That was that El Camino. I drove that on several power tours, and that was a cool truck. Still
LS
is.
powered?
Heck no, it was a small block.
Okay, small block. Yeah.
That was long before the LS
It wasn't like
days.
a 348 or a 409 or anything.
Just a little small block in it, but it was a good road car. It's hard to beat a small block Chevy Ford on the road.
It is. Rick, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right, that's our show for today, which means you need to get out there and start working on something. Spend some time turning wrenches. You might be surprised how much you like it. Now, make sure that you check out our website, staceydavid.com, because we've got all kinds of new products and some other great stuff that you're just going to love. I've got a new children's book called Iggy and the Stick Man. This is a story about a lowly stick that has dreams of greatness, only to be ridiculed by his friends. But then through a series of events, he learns that it is possible to get up off the ground and change everything if you're willing to persevere. You need to check it out. Also, make sure you check out our social media. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all at Official Stacey David. Our social media is where you're going to find all of our bonus content, the giveaways, the contests, the trivia. We even have extra viewer projects that focus on what you are working on. Also, the new season of GEARZ will be on Racer Network, and YouTube will be the place where you can view all of your favorite GEARZ episodes, as well as the full project builds that follow a project from beginning to end. So that's really nice. But remember, the most important thing is you need to get out there and turn some wrenches yourself. So get a project and start working on it. All right, that's all the announcements. We're all up to date. We'll see you next time.